So I think the greatest mental disorder in our society is that we don't think we're sick. We think we're well. Yet, depression, suicide, and isolation are at an all-time high. So what's wrong with this picture? Well, as a coach, I'm always amazed to hear people's stories, to hear the level of abuse, tyranny, and judgment that they've endured. Many of them should have given up a long time ago, yet they didn't give up. They persisted and endured, and they chose to be here. So let me ask you a question. Who believes in you? Stop and think about that for a moment. Write down the names of those who believe in you. Who do you know that without a doubt believes, encourages, and supports you? Who are the people in your life that you trust and know that without a doubt will be there for you when and if needed? Who are the people that first come to mind if you were in a bad way you would reach out to for support? Now, I suspect that your list of names that you'd be able to rely on is pretty small. Unfortunately, I think that's pretty normal. And saying that out loud also makes me feel sad. As human beings, we should all be supportive, encouraging, and kind towards one another. After all, we are survivors. For some of us, it is a bloody miracle that we made it this far. So I think what's at the core of this is, a real pattern of stinking thinking and something called unconscious self-aggression. And actually, I believe there's a mass epidemic of stinking thinking running amok in our society, and I believe it leaves no one untouched. No one comes away from life without doing battle with their inner critic. We all suffer from an undiagnosed mental disorder identified as unconscious self-aggression. In fact, there's a Los Angeles-based psychotherapist, her name's Shira Miro, sees a fine line between the drive for personal growth, which is healthy, and what she calls unconscious self-aggression, which is your destructive, judgmental inner critic. So perhaps the greatest threat is not that unconscious self-aggression exists. Perhaps the real threat is the fact that this is not often discussed very openly. Now, I suggest that this is exactly what we should be discussing at our dinner parties, when we meet friends for coffee or with our families. There is nothing more important. What might happen if we ask those we care about the following questions? How's your self-talk? How are you feeling about yourself today, really? Tell the truth. I'm here for you. I'll listen without judgment. What would happen if we listened compassionately and extended a gentle, kind ear, saying things like, I hear you, and if tears surface, say, your tears are welcome here. I wonder how it might change our relationships. I wonder how we all might feel knowing that there are people in our life that we can be real and vulnerable with. That we have people in our lives who are willing to listen, to really listen. What if we had real caring and compassionate conversations? What if we brought our self-esteem and self-acceptance issues out of the closet? I think the world would be a different place. I think we would be different. Because we'd realize that we're all suffering from the same malady of unconscious self-aggression, self-judgment, and we struggle with self-acceptance. Now, my hope is that our world would be a much kinder, gentler place if we could just be real and truly be present with one another. So let me close with this. How's your self-talk? How are you really feeling about yourself today? Tell the truth. I'm here for you. I'll listen without judgment. Have a really great day. If there are any questions, comments, suggestions, I'd love to hear from you. And just be a little kinder and gentler with yourself today. Namaste.